Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Iqbal's Inspirations and Insights with Fahad Khan. In the Sufi tradition, there is a concept called Faqr. And this concept can loosely be translated as a state of being where an individual is only dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they give up their dependence on any worldly means, any worldly gains, anything else besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That they are patient, they feel humble, and they are devoted only to Allah. That they are generous, whatever they have they give to other people, and they're content with whatever they have and whatever they do not have. Now, where a Sufi relies primarily on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the goal is the reliance completely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the opposite end could be seen as complete reliance on your own self and your own intellect and your own ability to take care of yourself and not have any dependence on Allah. Now, I will say that as a Muslim, we don't have to go in one direction or the other. In fact, you're safe if you go with the route of faqr rather than the route of knowledge. And it's always good to be balanced, where we have some trust in our own abilities, but ultimately we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in a world that we live in nowadays, where there is a very high pull towards reliance on your own self and individualism and capitalism, that it is a good reminder from time to time for us to renew our trust and our reliance and our contentment with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a short poem in Bala Jibreel, Allama Muhammad Iqbal compares ilm and faqr, knowledge and humility, simplicity, poverty. For the sake of preserving its true meaning, I'll just use the word faqr. So he says, Faqr ke hai mu'jizat, tajo sariro sipah. Faqr hai miron ka mir, faqr hai shahon ka shah. So he starts out by praising faqr, and he says, the wonders and miracles of faqr include the crown, the throne, and the mighty armies. Faqr is the chief of chiefs, and faqr is the king of kings. And it's a very interesting concept if you think about it. If you are in a state of complete humility, complete contentment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then all of these things, A, don't have a value for you, and B, are given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, because you rely on Allah. He continues on to say, ilm ka maqsood hai paki hai aql o khirad, faqr ka maqsood hai iffat qalb o nigah. That knowledge and learning is meant to cleanse your thought, your thinking. It's meant to cleanse your cognitive processes. And faqr, on the other hand, is meant to purify your eyes and your heart. This is the same comparison he makes in other poems when he's talking about thinking, rationality, and action. So knowledge is meant to cleanse, and it's meant to purify our thinking. So rationally and cognitively, we can come and realize what's good for us, what's bad for us. But what will move us into action and what will allow us to take that thought process and be able to have actionable, deliverable process is faqr. And as a psychologist, I can say that as well, because oftentimes what gets in the way of us being good people is our own thought processes, something called rationalization. Sometimes we try to defend, sometimes we're in denial, and all these are rational processes that are happening. And then he says, ilm faqihu hakim, faqr masihu kalim. That ilm leads to becoming a jurist, becoming a wise man. But faqr leads to becoming the likes of the prophets, like Masih, which is Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, or Kalim, which is Prophet Moses alayhi salam. Ilm hai joya rah, faqr hai danai rah. That ilm or knowledge is in search of the path. It's constantly looking and searching and try to weigh out the pros and cons. While faqr is the one that is leading the path, that is fully aware of the path. And he says, faqr maqam nazr, ilm maqam khabar. Faqr mein masti sawab, ilm mein masti gunah. That faqr is in the state or acts on vision, being able to see, being able to have a wide idea of what is happening, being able to recognize the bigger picture. Whereas ilm or knowledge is based on information, is based on what you know and what you do not know. So it narrows your mind and your ability to see things. And in the state of faqr, intoxication or deviation is a good thing. Because in the state of faqr, you are in a state of complete contentment and reliance on Allah. So any deviation will still keep you on that path, will still keep you aligned with your Creator. But when it comes to knowledge, then deviation is a sin. And then he says, ilm ka mawjood aur, faqr ka mawjood aur, ashhadu an la ilah, ashhadu an la ilah. This is a very interesting line. He says the presence, the existence of faqr is completely different than the presence and existence of knowledge. Whereas both may proclaim the statement that I bear witness that there is no one worthy of worship. But faqr is doing it from the perspective of the individual who is submitting himself solely and saying no one is worthy of worship except Allah. But ilm is looking at it from a rational perspective. Ilm has subdued itself, has submitted itself based on some kind of rational understanding that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah. He continues on, चढ़ती है जब फ़क़्र की सान पे तेग़े खुदी, एक सिपाही की ज़रब करती है कार सिपाह. That when the sword of your khudi is sharpened on the whetstone of faqr, then it becomes so powerful that the strike of one person is equivalent to the strike of one entire army. And he ends with, Dil agar is khak mein zinda o bedar ho, teri nigah tod de aina-e mehruma. That through faqr, if your heart comes to life and awakens in this body of clay of yours, then your vision becomes so powerful that it can destroy the sun and the moon. He's using this metaphor for us to recognize that through humility, through humbleness, through contentment with Allah, through dependence on Allah, we can get power, that we can become more powerful. And we know through Hadith al-Qudsi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when a believer becomes so close to me that he becomes a wali, a friend of mine, then I become the eyes with which he sees, the hand with which he strikes. And according to Allama, the strength of a believer comes from his dependence and his alignment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah guide us. Ameen.